Are you a radio enthusiast?
A research student?
Or a curious thinker looking for an adventure?
If this sounds like you, welcome to The Summer I Found My Spark. My name is Maci.
And I'm Errah. We're thrilled to be back for another exciting semester of interviewing Adelphi's brightest minds. In this podcast, we ask current research students about their journey of discovering their research topics, the gruesome process of reaching out to mentors, their successes, setbacks, and their future goals ahead. We hope this podcast can guide our listeners in their own path of research and self-discovery.
This episode is brought to you in collaboration with the Sparks Research Center, where curiosity meets innovation. Each summer, the Sparks Center funds students to take on independent research projects across various disciplines. Whether you're interested in computer sciences, dance, literature, or public health, there is something for every listener with a curious take on life. So keep your ears sharp, for this podcast might just leave you inspired or searching for your own spark. To find out more, please visit the Sparks Instagram page and website linked in our description.
Today, we're joined by the enigmatic SJ Tapogna, a junior music education major in the honors program who, under the mentorship of Dr. Heather Waters, the chair of Adelphi's music department, researched how the relationship between sounds and visuals can be bridged by graphical notation in children's classrooms. Let's hear more from SJ about their research journey, inspirations, and setbacks. SJ, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So before we dive any deeper, we want all our listeners to follow along with the podcast. So SJ, could you give us a brief explanation of your research topic, what musical pedagogy entails, and how it caters to students?
Yes, so I am a music education major, so I am focused on learning how to educate students in all forms of music, instrumental, general music, and doing that in creative and interesting ways. And I, as a musician, I think about music in very abstract ways sometimes. So I really wanted to research how that can be used in the classroom as a way to help students engage with music in creative ways and empower student leaders. So I researched how graphic notation, so non-traditional music notation, so anything that's not 5 lines and regular shape notes on a staff, so it could be as artistic as look like a painting or be something more graphic and have lines and shapes, and how that can be used in classrooms for creativity and allowing students to interpret things differently rather than just playing the notes on a page that's given to them. And I also, to start, I looked at the inherent relationship that people have between visual shapes and the sounds they make. So if you have a line that goes up and down, you're going to most likely go up in pitch and then go down in pitch. So there are a lot of inherent things that sound and visuals are connected with, and I looked into that and how that can be used in especially secondary ensemble settings, where often students are so focused on playing the right notes and playing in time with each other that they forget the creativity aspect of music.
It's really interesting how creativity is a very central philosophy in your research method. And you also mentioned and wrote about Bennett Remier, a music educator who explores the reasons why humans feel so intrinsically gravitated towards music. He describes 5 reasons why music is valued by people, and you quoted one of them in your research, which is that music is a product and a process. What do you mean by this? Or what do he mean by this?
So the act of creating music is you're working on a product. It's like painting a piece of art. It's a process to get there, and music is as well. It's often you're given a page of sheet music and you learn how to play the notes, and then you learn how to play them all together, learn how to connect them and make it musical and artistic. So there's an intrinsic connection between the process of making the product, which is the song you hear, and how those are connected. Like if you're improvising, you're thinking about the notes in your head before you play them, even if they're not written on the page. So how you, as the musician, process music is directly how the product gets created. And everyone thinks about it in different ways. Some people think of music in shapes. I have something in my brain that I always have connected different music notes with colors just automatically. It's called synesthesia. So like for me, D is always like a light orange, and that's just been in my brain.
So fascinating.
And that's just how I think about music. So that's definitely part of my process. Like if I'm improvising, I'm like, oh, the key is F major, it's purple, and then I know where to play from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does it work the other way? Like, do you look at colors and see music or hear music?
I could less of a connection, but definitely like there's something red there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the same color as B flat.
Oh,
so like
okay.
there is that because the colors are always the same in my brain, which is interesting.
Wow.
But some of my friends that are musicians, their colors are fully different. Like someone's A is red, but mine is yellow. And that's so strange to me. But it's just like how our brains work. And it's so strange how that happens.
Like, how dare you look at that, I don't know, flat A and purple, not a blue?
I'm like, that's not the right color, but it's the right color for them. So that is something that's always been a part of my music and how I think about playing. So that was definitely what sparked my research into non-traditional music notation, just how I think of music in colors and not necessarily just in the black and white that's on the page.
It's all about how you conceptualize it, right?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I played the bass for like years.
Oh, nice.
And I was like trained classically. So I remember like when you're talking about how a group plays together and they're focusing so much on like the technical details that they kind of lose the creative aspect.
Yeah.
I find that to be very true. I think that especially in a formal orchestral setting, people get really, they pay close attention to those technical details, which is important as well.
Yes.
But I think that I love what you're saying about the creative element. I think that's so fun. So on that vein, how is this musical research different from other like STEM-based empirical research? Because I imagine that that's got to be a different process entirely when it's so creative-based.
Yeah. Going into next year where I'm looking at my thesis is going to look very different from a lot of the STEM theses or humanities projects because I'm not doing experiments necessarily. So the paper that I'm discussing right now that I wrote last semester for one of my music education methods classes, it's more so a literature review and looking at how different things can be connected and looking at examples of how people teach. So I didn't actually conduct any specific research on my own for this, but this for me serves as a basis for projects I want to do in the future, such as creating my own graphic notation, working with groups to interpret that graphic notation, and seeing how that would work in a setting where people are sharing ideas and being inspired. So looking at all these different papers, like I looked at one where children were shown music and they were asked to draw certain things, and comparing them, there's a lot of similarities actually between different kids and how they draw to the same music. So I wanted to create a basis for what I would be looking at in the future of this is something that is inherent, even though it's kind of strange and not as common for upper level musicians, especially in like secondary setting. It's very common in elementary. It's like 4 squares, those are 4 quarter notes, and you do 1, 2, 3, 4. But once you get to high school, it's like what you were saying. It's like you're playing exactly what's on here, and if you're playing it slightly wrong, you got to fix that to be what's on the page. But there's inherent things that we connect with shapes and sounds that I think are underutilized and could be used for that creativity in classrooms.
So do you think that other fields would benefit from incorporating this style of research or elements from this style of research into more empirical methods?
So in terms of like looking at different literature, I think it definitely helped create a basis for me personally of like future projects. I'm not sure because my paper was kind of a literature review in nature of looking at different people's ideas, but those papers were based in doing such research. So like those were empirically tested in statistics about different things. I am not super well versed in that. It's been a while since I've done research like that, since like high school. But there is an empirical basis for the stuff I was looking at, even though it can then inspire a creative product. So I'm not sure how that could go the other way, but it would be interesting to look into that.
Yeah. I think the empirical process is essentially intertwined in all disciplines, but the way the musical research, as you're explaining, goes about it is seems like there's a lot more creative freedom to it. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit because today is a very special day. SJ, we know that you're also the understudy for Snoopy in Adelphi's musical adaptation of Your Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Yes.
Our listeners wouldn't be able to look at your t-shirt, but you're also wearing a brilliantly yellow t-shirt.
I am. It's very yellow.
We love to see it.
How has your experiences in theater and performing arts inspired and informed your identity as a musical researcher?
You asked me that question. I'm just smiling. I love to perform. That's what I love to do. The reason I'm a music education major is because I was always in concert band and jazz band in high school. And for that very last year, I was in theater for the first time. And it's just something I love to do. I love to create with other people. And by the end of my senior year, I was like, I cannot stop doing this. I want to keep doing this. I want to create this experience for others. So that has definitely driven me to be doing this. And it's something I really, really enjoy. Like, sometimes I have 12 classes a semester, but I really enjoy all of them, which is good. I forget that most people have like 4 or 5. Sometimes I have 12, which is fine because I love it and it's okay. Because it'll be like private lessons, a large ensemble, and then other random ensembles. But it's just so much fun, and it's something I find so much joy in doing and creating with other people. And especially for like the show, I've been working with people who are music majors and people who are not music or acting majors, but they still have that creative drive in them and performance talent, and everyone has just been such great collaborators on this, and that's something I will take with me in the future as I want to do more collaborative projects.
That's wonderful. So, SJ, you've grown up in New York City, which is arguably the jazz capital of the world. How have your early life experiences influenced your decision to pursue this field? I know you mentioned, being in jazz and concert band in high school. So what influenced that, taking on this thesis topic? And is there like a particular artist or song or something like that that moves you or inspires you?
That's such a good question. So my main instruments are flute and piano. I started playing piano in 2nd grade, and then I started flute in 4th grade.
Wow.
And when I got to middle school, there was jazz band. And at first there were no flutes. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be in jazz. And it was originally because I'm like, I want harder music. But then I just loved it so much. I love improvising, of like, you just get like 16 bars of music and you just play. And it's so much fun. And I've played flutes for so long. It's just such an inherent thing for me now. Like it feels like I'm fluent in it. Like when I'm playing other instruments, I like have to think about it sometimes if they're newer instruments for me. But that was always like a space for community for me. That's where most of my friends are from. Even in college, a lot of my friends are from my ensembles and jazz ensemble specifically. I'm still in jazz ensemble here. And that was the reason I came here, because a lot of places don't allow flutes in jazz ensembles because they have traditional instrumentation, which doesn't include flute. But Adelphi was so open to having anyone in there. Like, we've had violins before. We've had so many instruments. My Professor Owens is the director of that, and she is a vocal singer, and she just has such a welcoming environment. So jazz has always been a place for me where I'm like, I find my friends and community, and it's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. So that's definitely something that inspired me to continue doing it in college. And Adelphi was one of the only places I could.
So I don't know much about the musical discipline, but is there, would you say, a classist attitude towards flutes and them not being incorporated within musical ensembles?
So it depends on certain things. So concert band and orchestra, flutes are always there. If it's a symphony orchestra and it has winds and strings. But classical ensembles have a very set instrumentation. Like, you're going to have first violin, second violin, viola, cello, bass. Like, you're going to have that no matter what. But Same thing for jazz, because there's cultural traditions of, there's saxophones, trumpets, trombones, and then various other instruments, but any instrument can play jazz. Like if you play jazz on a violin, it becomes a fiddle, quote unquote. So being open to different instrumentation is something that I have always valued as someone who didn't see myself in the jazz group originally, because when I was in 6th grade there was no flutes in jazz, and I'm like, I want to do that. And then in 7th grade I was the only flute, and then in 8th grade there were 4 of us, which is maybe too many flutes, but we had a great time. But that's definitely something I, as having gone through an experience and found a place in middle high school, I had the same band teacher middle high school, found a place there, and also found a place here at Adelphi that I could. It just makes all the difference to be welcomed into those groups.
Absolutely. And that open-armed policy really, I think, creates space for creativity, right? If you're not welcome in the space, how are you expected to, be able to pursue it? So I think that's wonderful that you've been able to find some belonging and welcoming there. And I hope that you've been able to enjoy that contribution, and be able to produce things that you're proud of in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I hope you continue to keep finding those spaces for yourself.
I tried. The new musical theater program has definitely been that. So
that's wonderful.
Always seeking new places to be creative with people.
Nice. Yeah. So SJ, here at PAWS radio station, we have something we'd like to call the oh no moments. This is when the project idea you've spent weeks working on gets shot down, or the results you were hoping to get backfire. But as researchers know, failure is fundamental to research as success. Have you had any oh no moments during your project? And if so, how do you deal with those rejections and setbacks?
So this project specifically, I worked on last semester for a class, and it was an ongoing thing. We would learn about musical education history in class, but then outside of class we would be working on this paper. And it was very much here's the general idea, and then go write a paper. So it was so open-ended at first that I didn't really know what to focus on, and I had so many ideas. It was hard to condense it into something that was coherent and I could find the support for, because it was such a specific thing I was looking for. Because there's a lot of research in music education. Anyone that's a doctor in music or music ed has to publish things, but it just took me a long time to find specific articles and composers specifically that compose in graphic notation. And I would love to get my hands on some of the scores itself, because I was looking at them on YouTube videos, but they're not really online, because you would have to purchase the score if you wanted to perform it. That would definitely be something I would want to do in the future, of have the scores in front of me and look at them, because they're all so different and very interesting. But this project thankfully went very smoothly, all things considered. There was definitely a crunch there towards the end of getting the paper done, because it was a longer paper for me, but it was good. I don't really have any major setbacks, thankfully. In the future, I want to try to collaborate with a group and interpret graphic notation with people, and then you get the whole scheduling nightmare of trying to get multiple musicians to have free time together. So that will definitely be something in the future that will be a challenge, but I'm willing to do it for a project like this.
Wow, yeah. Okay, so we have one final 2-part question for you.
Yes.
So there are many students who are and will be working on their theses or their capstone projects or applying to research grant opportunities. And do you have any advice for those students who want to pursue research, especially, non-traditional creative research, but feel overwhelmed and confused by the process? And if you could go back to the beginning of your research journey, what wisdom would you impart to yourself?
Seeing what other honors students have done for their theses, theses, that's the word.
It's one of those weird ones.
I don't know how to pluralize that. Looking at what other people have done for creative projects has been very helpful, and I found that when I'm trying to think of a topic for something, like in high school I did AP Art twice, and like trying to come up with my portfolio topic and my thesis for that, it was something that I couldn't really push. It just kind of had to happen and give me the idea of just engaging with art and other things like that. So this is just something that's always been an interest of mine, of how music can be represented visually. So following what you're interested in and something that you think could have more research done on it, or these two things that are separate can be brought together, which is what I did for a lot of this. And just getting inspired by things that you like, especially for creative research, has been really great, because I'm genuinely interested in all of this stuff, which helps a lot. But it doesn't always have to look like how a STEM thesis is going to look, which has been fun to figure out, because it's exciting, because I can kind of do whatever project I want, which is going to be very exciting for next year. Last year there was, I believe, an acting major who did a thesis that was a dance production about retelling of Greek myths from a feminist perspective. I wish I remembered her name right now, but I saw her present at the Works in Progress colloquium, and that really inspired me of like, oh, this can look like however you want it to be for your thesis when you're a creative person. So it's just fun to explore that, and I'm excited to do that in the future.
Wow.
Yeah. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
I mean, everything you've talked about already seems so exciting, and we can't wait to see your research projects next year.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're very grateful for your time and for sharing your artistic journey with our listeners. I'm sure they're all going to be so inspired by this, and we hope to see your work out there in the world soon as well. Yes. If our listeners have questions about SJ's projects or would like to collaborate with them, you may contact them via their email, which is included in the episode description.
And thank you to the Sparks Research Center for sponsoring this episode and continuing to support student innovation across campus. If you want to learn more about how to get involved with Spark or apply for next summer's program, check out their page on the university website. We'll link it in the episode description.
That wraps up today's episode of The Summer I Found My Spark. Until next time, I'm Errah.
And I'm Maci. Stay tuned, stay curious, and keep reaching for your spark.